So having completed multiplication and division, let's move on to addition and subtraction. 0.02 plus 0.135. Now we started with our basic lesson that to add terms must have the same units. We haven't really talked about that yet. We've been focusing on multiplication changing the units, right? That when we multiplied here, we went from hundredths and thousandths to now having hundred thousandths, right? My 27 is in a different place than the 2 or the 135 were. Well, now my 2 is in the hundredths. My 135 is in the thousandths. I'm not changing those. I need to have the same units. Well, I need to think about that. This 2 hundredths plus this 135 thousandths are not the same unit, but I can easily change that. I can multiply by 10 over 10 and get 20 thousandths plus 135 thousandths. 20 and 135. 5, 3, 4, 5. I get 155 thousandths. Well, that's not what I wanted. I wanted it as a decimal. So 155 in the, let's see, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, right? And we can put a 0 there if we want. 0.1 tenth, hundredth, thousandths, 0.155. There's our answer. Now the goal is to be able to do these without converting to fractions and then back to decimals. And that's what we do with the standard algorithm. 0.02, I have to line up my units. No ones. 0.135 has no ones. No tenths. 0.135 means 1/10. 3 hundredths and 5 thousandths. Really what we're doing is a bunch of addition where we call this as 1/10. Separate this out as 3 hundredths. And then my 5 is 5 thousandths. And this has no tenths, it just has 2 hundredths. 3 hundredths plus 2 hundredths is 5 hundredths. That's what we're doing. 3 hundredths plus 2 hundredths is 5 hundredths. This is the only thousandths. This is the only tenths. Okay. That's why when we're adding, we're lining up the place values, lining up the decimals so that we line up the place values. So let's look at subtraction. 0.02 minus 0.135. If we do it the fraction way here, let's get a new page so it's not writing over the old stuff. So let's take all of these pluses, turn them into minuses. With fractions, it's no problem. 20 minus 135. Well, the second number is bigger, so we're saying 135 minus 20. 0.155. Right? In other words, I'm sorry, 115. 115 thousandths. So that's 115 in the tenths, hundredths, thousandths place, and it's negative, so it's negative. But how do we line it up that way? If I do this the old-fashioned 0.02 minus 0.135. Okay, 0 minus 5 can't do that, so you borrow. 1 minus 3 can't do that, so there's nothing to borrow from. So we've got to put the 135 up top. 5 minus nothing. 5 thousandths minus no thousandths is 5. 3 hundredths minus 2 hundredths is 1 hundredth. 1 tenth minus no tenths is 1 tenth. And we show that this is tenths by putting the decimal there. That's how we get it. All right, so when we're adding or subtracting, we have to line up the decimal places so that we can add terms with terms, like terms with like terms. Whereas when we're multiplying, we're not lining this decimal up with this decimal. We're just multiplying the whole numbers, 135 times 2, and then sorting out the decimal places at the end. When we're dividing, there's no decimals to line up besides this one and this one. We make this a whole number, and wherever that decimal place lands over here, that's how it works, right? So here's where I did it. 0.135, 1, 2, 3. So 0.02, 1, 2, 3. And that's how I get 20 point, and then so on from there. Okay. Addition and subtraction, very different from multiplication and division.